Hello, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. I am your frenetic and frantic host, Peg. Why am I frenetic and frantic? There's a lot going on. I've got a lot of reading, a lot of review writing, and but I love it. But at times I can tend to feel a little bit like I'm joking. But I'll be okay. I want to make some videos because I've got a backlog of things I want to show you. Gosh, there's still so much I want to do with this channel. I need more hours in the day. I am trying to get some author interviews going, so we'll see how that goes. There's Goldie in the background. She's gonna settle down in her little fuzz pod bed. Wow. So I just wanted to say the last video with Martine went like, now we know who scores all the views. It's Martine. Just even her voice and the people come running. I don't seem to pull those numbers by myself. So she had a lot of fun on that video. I think we're going to do it again real soon. I've got more used books. I hauled some really awesome used books, and a few of them didn't make it into the last video, so we'll do it in the video coming soon. But for the purposes of this video, it's time to check in with our good folks at Casemate. So we've got some new military history. So all my military history buddies out there, I think you're going to like it. We have a new area where I'm getting review copies now, and that's in the area of my favorite historical area, which is the Civil War. So thanks to Lauren out at Casemate, hooked me up with some brand new books that I just can't wait to dive into. These are all Casemate publications, so it's none of their imprints. And we're going to start with, I'm very excited. This is a slim volume, but I'm very excited because I don't recall I don't think many biographies or even just battle studies have been written about this gentleman, but this is about the Battle of Gettysburg. And this is called The Lion of Round Top. And this is about Strong Vincent, which I always loved his name. If I ever had a son, I'd name him Strong. Strong. The Life and Military Service of Brigadier General Strong Vincent in the American Civil War by H.G. Myers. Forward by Dr. Frank Varney. As you can see, a slim volume, but it's a brand new release from Casemate. So let's give you a little bit about this. For nearly 160 years, the story of the fight to save the Federal left at Little Round Top, Gettysburg, has fascinated millions around the world. The heroism of Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain in the 20th Maine, saving the Federal Army at the zenith of the day's fight on July 2nd, 1863, is a story that has been told and retold for years. That story is a lie. That's pretty bold jacket copy here. Using never-before-published documents and records, this is the first modern biography of the man who truly saved Little Round Top for the Federal forces. Forgotten by history and marginalized by the outsized reputation of his subordinate, Brigadier General Strong Vincent is here reinserted into the historical narrative in his rightful place as the man who led Federal forces to victory on Little Round Top. Scion of two of the most influential and wealthy families of northwestern Pennsylvania, Strong Vincent serves as an embodiment of the martial ideals of duty and sacrifice in the American Civil War, choosing to remain in the field with his men rather than to serve at Army headquarters because of his deep devotion to the war aims of, quote, union and liberty, end quote. Weaving together primary and secondary sources to contextualize Strong Vincent in the world of the American Civil War, historian Hans Myers brings back into focus a man who should never have been neglected and raises the question of how much of the story we all know of the second day of Gettysburg was true to begin with. Okay, that part was worded strangely. So I'm excited to read this. I've seen a couple of documentaries, and I know in the movie Gettysburg, Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain gets all the glory, but they do feature Strong Vincent. He was the one that told them, he positioned them there. He's like, we need to secure this area. We need to secure Little Round Top and extend the line. So I'm not sure how. I mean, yeah, he didn't get all the hosannas and stuff that Chamberlain did. Well, maybe that was just a matter of him not being. Maybe he just wasn't into self promotion and all this kind of stuff. But I've always had an appreciation for Strong Vincent's role in Gettysburg, and it's the one Civil War battle I have read the most about. I can draw a chart on a whiteboard. I can draw you the fishhook. I can show you the placements. I have really dived deep into this battle. So I've always felt that Strong Vincent was recognized, but of course, he didn't achieve the stardom of Chamberlain. But be that as it may, I'm really happy there's a new book out about Strong Vincent. So the next brand new Casemate book we've got, I'm so excited about. This is James Montgomery, Abolitionist Warrior by Robert C. Connor, who has also written a book that I really want to get and read. He's also written General Gordon Granger, The Savior of Chickamauga, and The Man Behind Juneteenth. I do want to get that one and read that. Again, this is another slim little volume. But these are important works that are coming out, highlighting the lesser-known personages of the Civil War. So James Montgomery was a leader of the Free State movement in pre-Civil War Kansas and Missouri and associated with its direct action military wing. He then joined the Union Army and fought through most of the war. A close associate and ally of other abolitionists, including John Brown, Harriet Tubman, Colonels Thomas Wentworth Higginson, and Robert G. Shaw, Montgomery led his African-American regiment along with Tubman and other civilians in the 1863 Combahee River Raid, which freed almost 800 slaves from South Carolina plantations. He then commanded a brigade in the siege of Fort Wagner near Charleston. In 1864, still in brigade command, he fought at the Battle of Olustee in Florida, helping prevent the collapse and disintegration of Union General Truman Seymour's. For some reason, I saw the name coming up, and I was like thinking, Tecumseh Sherman. No. And disintegration of Union General Truman Seymour's army. Later that year, he returned home and played a significant role in defeating Confederate General Sterling Price's Great Raid, especially at the Battle of Westport. This is the first published biography of Montgomery, who was and remains a controversial figure. It uncovers and deals honestly with his serious flaws, while debunking some wilder charges, and brings to light his considerable attributes and achievements. Montgomery's life from birth to death is seen in the necessary perspective and clear delineation of the complex racial, political, and military history of the Civil War. So, I don't know a lot about the man himself. In all my different Civil War studies, I've come across his name just in the way of movements, troop movements, field command, that kind of thing. So I'm very excited to learn more about James Montgomery, the man, and his beliefs. And apparently there's some controversy going on there. And then we come to one of my favorite, I never thought I'd say this word, it's like I told you, like Billy Rutenberg said, he's a Union man. Well, I'm a Union woman. I've always been. But there's one guy on the Confederate side that I have a little bit of a soft spot for. And maybe it's because he was the best friend of Ulysses Grant. And I think he was underrated as a military tactician and strategist. And he was done wrongly by the lost cause adherents. From all the ex-Confederates that ganged up on him about his record, and especially at Gettysburg. But this is my guy, James Longstreet. Okay, so I'm really excited and this is a great picture. Boy, that really gets, you get a full frontal on the man's face. So a lot of them, you see him on the side, and he's got but this is great. So this is Lieutenant General James Longstreet, Innovative Military Strategist, by F. Gregory Perette. It says the most misunderstood Civil War general. Another small volume, brand new from Casemate. But I'm so excited because, I've read his, was it Jeffrey D. Wirt? Was it the Confederate scapegoat or? Oh, heavens to Betsy. It was a fairly well-known book. in about Longstreet, and it was Jeffrey Wirt. It was fantastic. I have to look it up now. Told please. So anyway, I've always been intrigued by Longstreet, and the fact that he was good friends with Grant, that he actually after the war was a Republican. So people gave him a hard time for that. So Jeffrey D. Wirt wrote General James Longstreet, the Confederacy's most controversial soldier. So kind of a similar subtitle going on here. But that was a great book. So let me get back here. And this just came out. So let's just read a little bit about this entry into the field. So Lieutenant General James Longstreet, commander of the 1st Corps of the Army of Northern Virginia, was a brilliant tactician and strategist. That's what I said. His studies at West Point forged in him the innovative and adaptive thinking required to shape successful tactics and strategies to fight the Civil War, the first modern war. Though others had the benefit of a similar education, Longstreet was one of only a very few Confederate officers to take the mental leap and prepare to fight the war they were facing, not the war they wished they were fighting. Very true. The advent of the highly accurate and long-range rifled musket made traditional offensive tactics questionable and risky. Longstreet advocated for defensive warfare, trying to find the key to the situation without needlessly sacrificing his men. Utilizing his understanding of recent technological developments, including rifled musket and cannon, rail transportation, and the telegraph, Longstreet developed strategies and made recommendations to his superiors on how he believed the war should be fought. However, his advice was not welcome, nor was it heeded, with senior officers including Generals Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, Braxton Bragg, John Bell Hood, and Confederate President Jefferson Davis, all unconvinced of the importance of adaptation and innovation. Longstreet would clash with Lee at Gettysburg and at Chickamauga with Bragg. Though Longstreet's generalship was superb, and his advice, if heeded, might well have resulted in a number of Southern victories, Longstreet was never given full authority over any army in the field. The potential he showed was, however, recognized by the enemy. President Abraham Lincoln once said, "Bring me Longstreet's head on a platter and the war will be over." And I've read a lot about Lincoln and almost everything he ever uttered. I don't recall him saying that. Is this apocryphal? I'm going to shout out to my our resident Lincoln expert, Bill Rutenberg. Do you recall Lincoln ever saying that? I might have to look into this. This new narrative uses Longstreet's own writings and other contemporary works to examine his strategic and innovative thinking, demonstrating how the suggestions of this pragmatic and methodical general could have led to a far better outcome for the South. Not that we wanted that, but it goes to show, to me, this guy was the real, he was the real diamond in the rough, as it were. Lee, overrated. Jackson, he had skills, but he was a little just too weird. He was a little too quirky. He was a little too out there to fully get along with others. And, I don't think Longstreet had the same issues at all that Jackson was dealing with. Okay, so thank you to Lauren at Casemate. Looking forward to more Civil War titles that I can take a look at, share with my audience. Because I know you guys love Civil War stuff. So now we're going to move back to, this is some good stuff. Is this World War I or II? Kind of mixes it all up. We're going to move into, and then you know what? Casemate sent me some books I was not expecting, and I'm like, wow. Like this one. This one, I'll just show you. This is a beautiful coffee table type book. It's put out by the Pen and Sword military imprint from Casemate. But check this book out. Very hardcover. Fortress Europe, From Stone to Steel Fortifications, 1850 to 1945. J.E. Kaufman and H.W. Kaufman. So nice, big. You can tell it's just going to be wonderfully illustrated. Let's see here. A few of the fortifications, and I'll show you some pictures from the inside. Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, I can't wait. I got to show you some stuff now. Wow. Oh. Wow, you guys, this is like a military nerd's dream here, like me. Oh. So that was for like, well, we got Belgium. Okay, so it goes country by country. And it has like pictures of the types of fortifications. Okay, I'll just briefly read this to you. Highly illustrated history of European fortifications and fortified lines of the world wars. Covers fortifications across the continent from Scandinavia to the Mediterranean. Insight into the major works of Sire de Rivières, Brialmont, and other military architects of the time. Let me read a little bit of this. A few of the fortifications and fortified lines of the world wars are well known and have often been written about, illustrated, and studied. But they tend to distract attention from the wide range of fixed defenses constructed across Europe on an enormous scale after the Franco-Prussian War of 1870 to 71, during a period of insecurity and aggression. That is why this new highly illustrated study, which covers the entire continent, is so valuable. The authors examine the major fortified positions and describe their strategic purpose, their design and construction, and the role they played in military planning and operations. Wow. And then it says the outstanding contribution of the major military architects of the time is a key theme. Again, we talk about, and I've never heard of this person before, the work of Sire de Rivières, Brialmont, and others had a major influence on the course of the First World War and on the fortifications built before and during World War II. Their approach is visible in the designs for the Maginot Line, the east and west walls of Germany, the Vallo Alpino in Italy, the Soviet Stalin and Molotov lines, the Mannerheim and Salpa lines of Finland, the Greek Metaxas line, the Benes line of Czechoslovakia, as well as the defenses built by the Dutch and Scandinavians. And it breaks it down by country, tons of charts, and kind of neat though. And especially if you're traveling in Europe and you're coming across some of these like overgrown places in the field, this would be a nifty volume to have with you. Fortress Europe. Tons of colored maps, and so a beautiful book. Wow. All right, and then let's move. So we're going to kind of stick with World War I for right now. This is a fantastic new book. This is from, I think it's Frontline Books, an imprint that Casemate distributes. So Frontline Books. I'm excited for this. This is Zeppelin Inferno, The Forgotten Blitz, in 1916 by Ian Castle. Look at that great cover. Woo! Zeppelin Inferno. Brand new book. Out now at a respectable publisher and bookstore near you. At the beginning of 1916, as the world entered the second... I cracked myself up. I'm just weird, and I know it. At the beginning of 1916, as the world entered the second full year of global conflict, the cities, towns, and villages of Britain continued to lay vulnerable to aerial bombardment. Throughout that period, German Zeppelin airships and seaplanes had come and gone at will. Their most testing opposition, provided by the British weather, as the country's embryonic defenses struggled to come to terms with this first ever assault from the air. Britain's civilians were now standing on the front line, the home front, like the soldiers who had marched off to war. But early in 1916, responsibility for Britain's aerial defense passed from the Admiralty to the War Office, and, as German air attacks intensified, new ideas and plans made dramatic improvements to Britain's aerial defense capability. I'll skip a paragraph here. The German air campaign against Britain in the First World War was the first sustained strategic aerial bombing campaign in history. Despite this, it has become forgotten against the enormity of the Blitz of the Second World War, although for those caught up in the tragedy of these raids, the impact was every bit as devastating. In Zeppelin Inferno, Ian Castle tells the full story of the 1916 raids in unprecedented detail and what is the second book in a trilogy that will reveal the complete story of Britain's forgotten Blitz. Well, I didn't know he had a trilogy going. Oh, Daniel, Casemate. I can't read this until I read the first one. Just kidding. Let's see here. I'll see if I can pick it up. Well, what's the first book in the series? I'll find it out. But anyway, this continues it. Zeppelin and Inferno, The Forgotten Blitz by Frontline Books. All right. And then I just thought this looked fantastic. I've always been excited to read about fighting units or just even like why did they lose type books, you know. And this is what this one is about. This is called Why the Germans Lost. The Rise and Fall of the Black Eagle by Brian Perette. This is put out by Pen and Sword. This new and exciting publication from seasoned historian and author Brian Perette charts the ups and downs of the German army from the days of Frederick the Great to the dying days of World War II. All right, so that's a very sweeping type of analysis. It passes through the Napoleonic period, takes in the growth of war machinery under the leadership of Clausewitz and Moltke, and acquaints the reader with the various victories won against Austria in 1866 and France in 1870. It then moves forward into the 20th century, following the course of the Imperial German Army, its successes and ultimate failure in the Great War, its recovery in the interwar years, and its final destruction under the leadership of Hitler. Perette's characteristic eloquence is employed to great effect here, illustrating the various tactical flaws that underpin German efforts to secure victory during some of the most pivotal episodes of world history, as well as the shrewd resilience and bravery that precipitated great accomplishments. Strategy, tactical planning, and battle performance are all analyzed in a publication that is sure to make a welcome addition to the library of any discerning military enthusiast. This girl right here. It's funny that I have this book because I'm reading a book right now. It's not published yet, so it's an advanced reader copy. I'm reading it electronically. Written by a German historian. It's been translated. And I won't say the name of the book just yet. It's coming out later this year. But talking basically about how close Germany was to winning World War I. And just how close, and kind of analyzing it. So that whole book that I'm reading is the World War I from the German standpoint. So this is also going to be very useful as a comparative study, just to kind of, place alongside the book I'm reading now. And I'll talk about it later when the book comes out. But yeah, I'm writing a review on that one as well. Okay, and then I have a book of fiction, like military thriller. I'll save that for last. Oh, so right now we're going to stick with, we're going to go back to World War II. And this is part of a series of books. I have a couple of these in the series. It's a, I've got the pub sheet so I can just hold this up for you while I'm reading. This is Normandy, from contention to Valais, me in the French language. June, July to 1944, I can't speak. Friedrich Hein, translated by Lyndon Lyons, and this is part of the Die Wehrmacht im Kampf, so the German army in struggle, in war. My war, my struggle. Yeah, this series is called Die Wehrmacht im Kampf, Battles and Problems of the Second World War. It's a series originally edited by Hermann Teskey and published in German in the 1950s and 60s. Written by former members of the German Army in World War II, provides valuable and historically significant information. I'm just giving you information on the series, not the book just right now. on the German Army's perspective of many crucial campaigns and battles. Now being published in English for the first time, each volume has a modern introduction by Matthias Strone, head of historical analysis at CHACR, the British Army's strategic think tank. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it's part of that series, and it's on Normandy. It's by Friedrich Hein. Let's see here. This is a unique perspective on the decisive early weeks of the invasion in 1944, written by a German Army Corps intelligence officer, Friedrich, stationed in Normandy at the time of the Allied invasion, who during the invasion was the department head for enemy messages processing in the staff of the, 54th something. It discusses in detail the events leading up to the creation of Falaise Pocket, described by the author as, quote, a tragic turning point of an entire front, end quote. It discusses in detail the conditions, I can't talk, the conditions the American landing section, in the American landing section, and explains how the German troops based there came to be defeated. Wow, we're on a kick lately with books on how Germany was defeated or why they lost. And boom. And then this one, and then the one I'm reading now. It's a slim little volume, so it's like 145 pages, but it's part of that series, so awesome. It's always useful to hear from the people who are actually in the war itself, right? All right, and then we have, I do have a pub sheet for this too. Yay! Oh, could I have done that for all of these? No. All right, so what do we have here? Blue Water, Blue War. Sorry, just added an extra blue. It's called Blue Water War. The Maritime Struggle in the Mediterranean and Middle East, 1940 to 1945, by Brian E. Walter. For 3 millennia, and this is put out by Casemate. This is a Casemate book. As was the Normandy. For 3 millennia, the Mediterranean Sea served as the center of Western civilization and the scene of many colossal wars and naval battles. In the early summer of 1940, this ancient body of water again played host to a new and extensive conflict as the Kingdom of Italy challenged Britain for dominance within the region. With France on the verge of collapse and Britain facing the prospect of imminent invasion, the Italians hoped to reestablish control over the Mediterranean. The only thing standing in their way was the heavily outnumbered British Mediterranean fleet and the equally outnumbered British ground and air forces present in the region. Together, these forces would determine whether the Mediterranean reverted back to Italian control or whether the Allies would prevail and retain supremacy over this great body of water for themselves. So this book, Blue Water War, tells the story of this epic struggle. This was a prolonged and colossal conflict waged at differing times against the combined forces of Italy, Germany, and Vichy France over a wide area stretching from the coastal waters of southern Europe in the north to Madagascar in the south and Africa's Atlantic coast in the west to the Persian Gulf in the east. It's massive. Utilizing a variety of weapons, including surface warships, submarines, and aircraft, along with sizable merchant fleets, the British and their subsequent American partners maintained vital seaborne lines of communication, conducted numerous amphibious landings, interdicted excess supply activities, and eventually eliminated all semblances of Axis maritime power within the theater. In turn, these actions facilitated multiple Allied victories that helped secure the defeat of the European Axis. So a very important history on this military theater and how Britain and America kind of worked together on that. You got your pictures. So it's very helpful. I mean, with any history book, you want to have some pictures of the ships and stuff. So fantastic. Blue Water War by Brian E. Walter by Casemate Publishers. Actually, I believe I have one more really big coffee table book to show you that I couldn't believe I got. So hang on. Okay, guys. Well, actually, I had way more than I thought I did. I had another little a side stack I meant to show you of more Casemate. Seeing as we're at 30 minutes, I'll see how many more I can squeeze in. I might have to make a separate video. Always got good stuff coming in from Casemate. So check this coffee-sized table book out. This is amazing. I don't even know who the publisher is on this. I mean, it's distributed by Casemate. This book is priced in the dust jacket in pounds, so this obviously came from overseas. Okay, looks like Pen and Sword is a publisher, and it's part of the After the Battle series. This is definitive. Are you ready for this massive thing? Oh! Battle of the Bulge, Then and Now. Look at this beautiful cover. It's After the Battle. And it's by, Jean-Paul Palude, I think is the editor. Look at this. This thing is just, and it's heavy. Wow, it's just big. Big stuff. We got big photos. There's a lot to read here. I don't have a pub sheet for this one. But wow. Very small type. It's kind of like old-fashioned, like newspaper type. So it must have been a reproduction, the writings. Wow. So many photos. Wow. Maybe these are like, I don't know, like newspaper reports? Look at this. It's amazing. This is a, like 550-page book. Let's see what it says here. 9 days before Christmas, 1944, Hitler played Germany's last card, on which he staked everything to turn the tables in the West. The massive, stunning blow he struck in eastern Belgium caught the Allies totally unawares, yet a week later the Panzers had still not crossed the Meuse, in the first phase of an ambitious attack aimed at recapturing Antwerp and cutting off the Allied forces to the north. What lay behind this all-out offensive, which Hitler acknowledged would decide whether Germany was to live or die? An integral part of this book is concerned with the plans and preparations for the so-called master stroke, the various options considered, the operational orders, the precise armored strengths of forces scraped together, the measures to keep the buildup in the Eifel a secret. These are some of the elements that add fresh detail to the mounting of the offensive under the deliberately defensive codename of Watch on the Rhine. So let me see what else is describe about this book. Ooh. Okay. It's just a massive book. I don't even know what to say. We've got an intro on operational planning, right? Wow. My head could fit inside this book. Woo! Wow. Got a big preface, part 1, Watch on the Rhine, right? Wacht im Rhein. So I'm here for it. Bring it on. This is beautiful. This is going to go with my other large coffee table-sized books, illustrated volumes, Battle of the Bulge, Then and Now. Thank you, Casemate. Wow. Oh, it's heavy. Okay. And then to contrast that with a very lightweight, like 80-page publication. Look at this. It's called The Darkest Hour, Volume 1. The Japanese Naval Offensive in the Indian Ocean, 1942. The Opening Moves by Michael A. Pigzik. It's part of the Asia at War series. So, I guess they have several series. We've got Africa at War, Europe at War, Middle East, and Latin America. So that's interesting. And I don't think I have any of these. I don't think this is a series that I have followed. And this is put up by Helion. Look at this. Wow. it gives you a look by the numbers, gives you hard data, it gives you charts, it gives you graphs. Oh, I like these maps though. These maps are dope. Photographs. Again, I'm not sure I'm going to do anything with these charts. But just the overall history is going to be very interesting to go through. Nice glossy production. Okay, so Volume 1 of The Darkest Hour describes the strategic planning and opening moves of both sides in February and March of 1942, including the Japanese Navy projections on the final steps of the first stage of the Pacific War, and the Royal Navy's hopes to halt the enemy advance without taking any significant risks. The Japanese offensive in the Indian Ocean began in March 1942 with the invasion of the Andaman Islands and Christmas Island. By securing both vital positions, the Japanese Navy planned to establish its advanced bases in the eastern part of the Bay of Bengal. So it kind of covers that. It says this volume, Volume 2 will cover, it doesn't say what Volume 2 will cover, but this one is specifically about the Andaman Islands and Christmas Island. And it's extensively illustrated. I mean, I'll say, look at this beautiful artwork of the airplanes. So The Darkest Hour, part of the Asia at War series. Definitely will enjoy perusing that. 36 minutes. And then I'm going to show you the thriller I got. And then the other, I have a stack here of actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7. I still haven't shown. Tell you what, I'm always getting more Casemate stuff, so I am going to make another video next week highlighting the other stack from Casemate. In the meantime, this is part of the Snake Eater Chronicles series, which I do want to get back to you guys on. There's 2 books in the series so far, and I've got both of them. And I want to report back to you what I think of them. Yes. So, Snake Eater Chronicles. Military thriller. This was like one of Casemate's first ventures out into the field of fiction. And this is Direct Legacy by James Stejskal. And it's out in hardcover. The first 2 books have already gotten praise. Publishers Weekly. I write for them as well. Historical Novels Review, I write for them as well, but I did not write these blurbs, but Financial Times and Booklist have given praise for the books number 1, which is A Question of Time, and book number 2, Appointment in Tehran. I've shown both of these books on the channel before, so I want to get back to you on those. I want to do a deep dive and read all 3 of these and give you a review, because that is one of my goals. I've got to slow some other things down so I can do the things that I want to do. Get the books read that I want to read so that I can report back on them. So, having said that, I enjoy everything I do. I think I'm getting a little, I need to take some control back on my reading front. As far as the projects I want to do. So, having said that, this is one of the projects that I want to do, which is investigating the Snake Eater Chronicles. It just sounds like fun reading. You know, I talk about Brad Thor, and I do want to get back into reading my Brad Thor books. This is the kind of stuff I just eat up fiction-wise, especially summertime, and you're just, it's a hot day, and you just want to laze around and read something and not break your brain on something, which is what I'm doing right now, between a book on Brazilian authoritarianism and Germany's strategic and tactical performance in World War I. And then what else? There's other things. But anyway, it is the height of the troubles, and Northern Ireland lies under a shadow. Oh, I gotta definitely... Because, I have an Irish partner, and I know she's told me a lot about the troubles. So, Alarm bells ring out when the U.S. government learns that a rogue Green Beret soldier has been recruited by the Irish Republican Army to help prepare a terrorist attack. A terrorist attack? Sounded like I had a southern accent. God. Neil Fitzpatrick, the American son of an Irish rebel, forced to flee his birthplace, is a special forces demolitions expert who knows his trade and has a personal agenda. The American public cannot find out. What am I doing? I could hold this up for you. I have the pub sheet right here. The American public can't find out that one of its elite soldiers is involved in terrorism, and the U.S. government won't rely on the British to find him. They need someone who knows Fitzpatrick and how he operates. Who better than one of his former teammates? Paul Stavros is also a Special Forces veteran. He knows little of the Irish troubles, but is about to learn. What he does know is how to fix problems, and Neil has just become his biggest headache. But before Stavros can go operational, he must endure an arduous and hazardous selection process to be accepted by the joint SAS intelligence cell that will back him up. The British aren't happy with Stavros on their turf. They'd rather do the job themselves, quickly, cleanly, and terminally. Once Fitzpatrick and Stavros were comrades and friends. Now they are pawns on opposite sides of an ugly war where all is fair and no one is innocent. The British want to kill one. The IRA wants to kill the other. It's a race to see who will be first. Doesn't that sound fantastic? That sounds like a great plot. A lot of times with these political thrillers and military thrillers, they just all run together. This one sounds quite different, and I like that. So, Snake Eater Chronicles, you're on my list. You're on my list, along with catching up on my Brad Thor series. All right. So, 41 minutes. We'll stop here. Third book in the Snake Eater Chronicles. James Sedgeskull is the author. Casemate is the publisher. Thanks again to Daniel and Lauren at Casemate. I'm always happy to bring these books to the attention of my very loyal and well-read erudite viewers. And let me know what you think in the comments below. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for... Daisy is dreaming with a rawhide stick in her mouth. She's sleeping with a rawhide stick in her mouth. She's very cute. I don't know if you can see her. There she is. She's sleeping with a rawhide in her mouth. And she was twitching because she's dreaming. Sorry, I had to share that because we've got cuteness overload. We've got the two dogs sleeping in here while I... That's how exciting I am to them, you know. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. Thanks for commenting. And until next time on the History Shelf, be well and take care. Bye.